Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only Psychic Leota.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
What is going on? How are you? I just want to say before we even begin that you are from the Psychic Source. We have had Psychic Robin on, we've had Psychic Pandora, and now we are having Psychic Leota. And everybody needs to welcome behind the velvet rope. Everyone needs to go to Psychic Source. And I tell people that all of the psychics are great. If you don't have to go to just one, but you are here if they want to try to find you. You go to the Psychic Source, just download the app. And if you enter code Velvet, you now get a 35-minute reading for $20, which is literally unheard of. I've never heard
Mhm.
of it before in my life, right? It's a great deal.
It's fantastic. And honestly, Psychic Source, they send out promotions, they send out coupons, and they really vet all their psychics. So everything is confidential. I mean, I love working for them for that reason. So it's fantastic.
I love it. And I tell people the way you do it is you have to say reading now. If you go in and you go to talk to Psychic Robin or now Psychic Leota and you want to schedule an appointment for 3 weeks from now at 9 a.m., that is fine, but you will not get the $20 deal. You can pay at any time, but when you're ready for your reading, you have to say reading now because a lot of people seem to get confused and they say, why is this reading $200? Well, it won't be $200 if you only put in 20, but you just click on the reading now. And so it'll say like Psychic Robin has a 5 hour wait because she was on behind the velvet rope. Now you're probably going to have a several hour wait, which is fine. You can wait. A lot of people wait, but if you don't want to wait, all the psychics, I can't stress it enough. I have gone to so many of them. And the thing is, I actually think it's good to go to different psychics and get just a different feel because, right? Like, especially if you hear the same thing 3 times, you're like,
Hmm.
wow. Wow, this
Absolutely.
really
And
is there.
every psychic connects differently. Every psychic is going to have different interpretations and different insights. I wouldn't recommend like psychic roulette where you're looking for the answer that you want to hear, but at the same time, that's how I started working for Psychic Sources. I was calling a psychic myself, and I was super impressed. So I still get readings from other psychics on the source. So
Right.
definitely.
Like if you want to, you're right. Like psychic, I've never heard that term, but I like it. It's like psychic roulette. Yes, we all want to hear something, but we also want to hear the truth, right? So we
Hmm.
don't want to keep going until we hear the thing that kind of validates what we want to hear, kind of
Hmm.
defeats the purpose, right?
Exactly. And I mean, any good reading should empower you to make changes. So I always say, nothing's written in stone. It's insight so that you can decide what becomes reality. So don't look for what you want to hear. Look for what you need to hear because you have the power to change it.
I think so. And that's why, too, I just think of all the times to me, I love December and January, right? Like December is a great time for a reading because it's the end of the year. And I don't know, I'm very reflective on this year. I had a good year. It's not like every year is good, but I had a good year, both business wise and personally, and just you just want to kind of reflect on it and kind of hear things for the new year. And I think January is a great time too, because you start the year and you just want to hear what's ahead. So I think this personally, the next 2 months are the best time for a reading.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a fresh start.
Well, let's talk. So, I mean, Psychic Robin has been on twice. I know what her kind of method of doing things is, but talk to me about how you work. Like, I know where I want to start, but like,
Hmm.
how do you work? Like, what information? I can give you as much information
Hmm.
based on what we're going to talk about. We'll go through different people and scenarios, but tell me how you work so people that are listening know.
Well, I'm a clairsentient psychic, so my natural ability is through feeling. A lot of people are really familiar with clairvoyance, where they see things, and a lot of psychics have multiples. But my primary is feeling, and so as you're going through different people, say the birth dates, it doesn't really affect how I connect, but I know that some of the listeners and some of the people who are tuning in may also really be into astrology, so that may be applicable for them. Um, and then I also use tarot or oracle cards to just kind of confirm because I don't have that visual like a clairvoyant would. And pretty much that's how I connect. It's a little bit different.
Well, that's why I like it. That's why I wanted you to come on because I think it's good to have a balance. Well, I want to start with somebody named Dorit Kemsley. I don't even know if I
Okay.
have all the birthdays for everyone, but I have hers. It is 7/14/76. So 7/14/76, Dorit Kemsley.
Hmm.
I can give you some sense of what she's going through, or I can just say her name. Like, what do you need? Do you want anything more from me? I can give you some stuff of what she is going through if that helps.
Well, you know what? Let's see what comes up first, and then we can get
Okay.
into more specifics. Does that work?
That's
Okay.
great with me. I don't have to give you any specifics, but I have plenty, once based on what you say, I'll have some things to say. But yeah, Dorit is where I want to start.
So I do know that she's a Cancer because I'm also a Cancer. So that's the one that I do know by heart. Um, it definitely feels like someone who has been wounded, but is actually growing in strength from the things that they've been through. This does feel like a big transitional period for her. Um, it feels like I think a lot of people are looking at her very critically as if she could crumble, but it doesn't look like she's going to do that. I actually see reinvention. I see her reclaiming her personal power, really standing in that moving forward. I'm seeing a lot of financial strain. And so I think that that is something that is going to challenge her, but I don't feel like it's something that's going to defeat her. So I actually really like her energy. I like where she's coming from.
Do you think, I mean, she is going through a lot of changes now. Do you think that, like, what this change is ultimately going to be good for her? Do you see this change, like, lasting throughout what, the holidays and all of 2025? Like, she is going through a lot.
I would say 2025, it definitely feels like, especially early 2025, is going to be a time where relationships that are no longer serving her, romantic and platonic, are going to fall away. And it also feels like I'm seeing conflict right now with a lover and conflict with a platonic friend, but it also feels like I think she's going to keep the friend. I think she's going to drop the lover.
You do. You think her and the friend will make it and her and the lover won't.
Yes, absolutely.
So I guess that brings up a question. So she is on the show Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Do you feel there's anything inauthentic? Because there's a lot, she is having issues with this. Well, it's her husband now, but they actually are. So what you say is it makes sense because they are separated.
Hmm.
It doesn't sound like you think they're going to make it. There's a lot of chatter now amongst the listeners and viewers of this Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that this is not real, that this conflict with her husband is fake, that, sometimes like you have to make things up to stay on the show.
Hmm.
So there is that which is surfacing. I have my own feelings on this, but I don't want to sway you. Like, do you feel it's real? I mean, it sounds like you do if you don't think it's going to work out with the lover.
I think the conflict with her husband or lover, what's coming through, I think that's real. I do think that it's played up, maybe, for entertainment purposes, but I do see a lot about broken trust, bringing out parts of her that she really doesn't want. So I would say codependency. It feels like there is very likely substance abuse. Although I don't feel like that's current, it still feels like the damage has been done. Now, I will say that the conflict with the friend, I feel like they're still actively spending time together. So I don't feel like I feel like that's what's probably been played up.
And you think her and the friend, who in this case, the woman's name is Kyle Richards, you think her and the friend will be just fine?
I feel like they will be. Yeah. It feels like they do genuinely have issues with one another. Like I think that's real. But it feels like I don't I feel like it may have been played up a bit more. It feels like she can be very insensitive. I would